Hello, and welcome to, like, for lack of better words, it's more of a ramble about how I got introduced and the overall story of how I got into my hobby that I currently have right now. Not video games. Video games is a lot longer story. Uh, this is going to be about tabletop gaming of all kinds, mostly uh, ones related to dice, Dungeons and like a bunch of like tabletop games where you role play, you have a character, you roll it up, you make it, go through a campaign with a bunch of your friends that have made their own characters, and they all have their own different personalities and stories and stuff like that. And I'm going to explain my story of how I got into the hobby that I currently am into right now. When I started off, I didn't. When I actually first heard of it, like Dungeons and Dragons, I've heard of it before, but I haven't heard too much about it. I was in grade school, and I think it was grade 8. Yeah, grade 8, where a bunch of the kids in my class, they were all sitting around like a table during like lunchtime or whatever, and they were playing like some sort of game or whatever. And at the time, I wasn't really popular or liked there, unfortunately, but that's my own problem. Uh, I asked, like, what are you guys playing? It's like, oh, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and they left me alone. And I asked if I could join, and being the unpopular kid I was back then, they said on the spot, almost immediately, no. So I tried to do my own thing. I've basically tried to do that. And I listened to them every now and then, every time I could. And I really wanted to join in their game. And it fascinated me with, all their, the story of how this one, kid, which surprisingly came up with a really good story, of them, in, this arena, and trying to escape through gladiatorial fights, meanwhile, while someone's actually working their way up and tricking everyone, and actually betraying their friends on the side, even though it's not benefiting his friends, it's morally benefiting him, which is actually pretty weird. I don't know. I don't remember exactly all about it. I just know it was that one guy in the game was a dick, I guess. So I tried to naturally try it on my own, and it's nothing. I did nothing as I do right now, regardless. In any tabletop gaming situation, I tried to tabletop game because there was extra dice laying around in the school or whatever, and I borrowed them. And I tried playing with my friends during recess, in a separate area or whatever, and it didn't go well. As in, I did terribly, and everyone that played got bored. And, not a lot of people played, so I pretty much gave up after that and didn't play then. Then, I think 2 years later, I met my friends. I met two of my friends. Actually, I still am friends with them right now, and they're actually really good. They're probably some of my best friends right now. And, you know who you are if you're listening. One of you are probably listening right now. I was at someone else's house with. I was at one of my friends' house while I was there, and we were playing video games and stuff like that. We were having laughs over the summer since we were all done school that year, and someone brought along the book that I mentioned in my previous, in one of my previous videos, is Palladium Fantasy 2nd Edition. And me being me, it's almost instantly, I was like, oh, that looks cool. What's it about? Then he immediately told me that, what it was about, and said that he wanted to start up a game. And I offered, well, oh, we could start up a game. I'll get people to join, and we could do that. Thus started my first proper game, my first proper tabletop game ever. Like, I knew the basics of how to be like a good, well, not really. I knew not to be rude to the game master at the time. I knew not to be rude to the game master and not to like do whatever and be a dick to the players and shit like that. Meanwhile, while everyone else that was playing, they were they weren't necessarily mean. They were just more like testing the patience of the GM, I think, for a lack of better words. And again, the person, like, it's one of my best friends that's the GM. Again, you know who you are. So yeah, like, we kind of ran through a Palladium session. I played my Paladin at the time, my Dwarven Paladin, which I absolutely love, and is probably one of my favorite characters that I've ever created. It's probably my second favorite character I've ever created thus far. And due to certain complications, everyone like got bored in the game, and I got mad at one of the players who was still my friend. Don't worry, we didn't lose friendship over a little incident in the game where it's really stupid now that I think about it. Back then, like, it was like, I think, okay, I'll explain what happened. Basically, we were trying to, we got, like, a bunch of, like, relics and stuff from, I think it was, like, a rune and, like, a piece of parchment or something, and I wanted to track down one person that looked like one of the other players that was playing, who was, like, a Wolfen Knight, I think, and it was this big, like, evil Wolfen bandit named Glubush the Cutter, who was extremely deadly and like a serial killer, basically. And my character, I wanted to be in character, and I honestly wanted to try this. It says, I want to go find this guy, and I want to kill him. Because he probably has a lot of money on his head. Me being me, thinking, I was like, maybe I can get some decent money out of it. And also avenging all of the poor souls that have been killed. In character. Makes sense. So me being me, I figured out where most likely he would be going, and I found out that he was heading to a bunch of ruins. And in one of the ruins, it was blocked off by some sort of barrier. And I figured out, I put two and two together, like, maybe those two rune things that we have can get us through. So, I tried to escape through it. I, like, pushed them out of the way and jumped through the barrier and immediately, like, run up the stairs. And thankfully, no one, like, shot me because they pushed me or whatever. Like, I pushed them or whatever. At least the people that could shoot bows and arrows, they didn't shoot me. So, but one of the characters was a psionic. If you don't know what psionics are, well, nobody likes them. Let's just say that. Nobody in Palladium liked them a whole lot, and they're dangerous to a lot of people. So, what he did was, since he didn't want me to go in there all lone wolf style, because I did not want to wait for everyone, and I knew nobody wanted to go in there except me. So what he did is put the parchment, like, do like the thing where he put both items in and then levitate me with psionics, with all of his psionics, pulled me out and then dropped me and then just quickly like said we gotta go. And then after that, I think like the game ended because none of the players cared at that point. After that, so yeah. After that, I think I didn't tabletop game as much as I do now. Now I'm playing like a lot more, and after that, I think what was next? Right. Wait, what came? I'm trying to remember what came first. I think what came next was one of my friends then offered to. Right, it was that one. Then one of the other players that was there, he had like a bunch, like one of my other friends, who I'm like very close friends with. He excuse me. He had a bunch of Rifts books and stuff, and a bunch of other tabletop games that are like Palladium based. So we're like, oh, okay, cool, we'll do that. So then we looked through them all, and then we found one that we all liked, which was Beyond the Supernatural First Edition. And for all of you that don't know, Beyond the Supernatural First Edition, one of the classes is utterly broken, which is the, what is it? They're essentially a mage character. They're basically like a wizard character that could summon up, that could do a bunch of spells and is like uber powerful in multiple ways. And one of the characters chose that, and they ruined the game pretty much because they were really powerful. And plus, on top of that, they wanted like a custom character, and yeah. And over time, I slowly got a bit frustrated at that, but now, like, this game is still running, by the way, but very slowly because of situations with the GM's personal things. Their own, like, personal issues, like schooling and stuff like that. Yeah, pretty much that's why the game has run so long since then. And then, in the middle of those games, that same friend who ran Palladium, he asked, like, hey, do you want to join, like, there's another Beyond the Supernatural campaign, just second edition. I was like, it's like, oh, really? It's could I join? I asked, like, and he was like, yeah, sure, we can arrange that. So then I went over to his house, we quickly created a character for me, and we created oh, right, frick, I didn't even mention the first character I made. Right, the character I made in the Beyond the Supernatural First Edition was a Nega Psychic named Kyle. Later, last name was Kyle McRae. Kyle McRae was a ex-military specialist whose backstory was that, oh yeah, in the game we all decided, okay, just for the fun, we're all gonna have roll a random insanity. Like, roll 2 random insanities in the thing. And if you don't know what that is, you basically have to play in character and be afraid of whatever random thing you roll or make up or whatever. So most of us just rolled. And what his character's fears was agoraphobia, which is basically he's afraid of open spaces and he's afraid of the dark. Half of the party is afraid of the dark, which is actually really funny. So I had to try and come up with like a backstory. Like, the non-canonical backstory of this character was that he was a military specialist, and at the time, and how he got these fears was in the middle of like a battlefield or something, while he was like during like a mission, when he said like nothing was there, out of nowhere like a demon or something like came down and like shredded his friend apart and like everyone around him, and he just ran away terrified, obviously. And from then on, he's always afraid of open spaces because they were too quiet and like too many open areas that are really scary, and like anything could be anywhere, basically. That's his mindset. And the dark can like be set back to him as a child thinking there's like monsters in his closet or something like that. Or like there's monsters anywhere in the dark and can get them at any moment, anytime, similar to his agoraphobia fear because he can't see them. And he was a Nega Psychic. Nega Psychics basically, it's kind of a very funny character type because their powers are for every ISP they have, they can negate 4 PPE. Well, you know, for every 1 PPE, they get rid of 4, I think. I don't remember. They can get rid of a lot of psychic power, basically, around them. And they basically think that anything that is, like, magical or, like, supernatural, they think it's just some strange coincidence. So it's actually pretty funny, regardless. Excuse me. So that's Kyle McRae. Like, Kyle is not as high as any of my other characters. Anyway, back to the Beyond the Supernatural 2nd Edition character. I was brought into there, and we made our character there, and I created possibly one of my favorite characters I've ever created, which is Normand Cannon. Normand Cannon was not a Nega Psychic. No. This is a little bit different. In 2nd Edition, there's a lot more classes that you could be as a Psychic. Beyond the Supernatural, you could either be like an ordinary person or a Psychic, which is typically what you would be. We did a combination of like Beyond the Supernatural and Nightbane to create modern horror, even though at this point it was just mostly modern at that point, which was really funny. So that's how that went. And Normand Cannon was an antiques book dealer. That was a Firewalker class. And a Firewalker is basically the equivalent of like a firebender, basically. I think. I don't know. They basically can control fire, make fire at any moment they want. And they basically can manipulate fire in many ways. And they prefer to be like warm instead of cold, which is a little minor thing. And typically they'd be a firefighter, but no, he's just a book dealer, which is pretty funny and ironic actually, because I rolled randomly for like a job he would be. I'm like, I could make it work. And my friend beside me, he was just laughing at that, thinking like, how could he be a book dealer? He's a firewalker. It makes no sense. He said it would make more sense if he's a fireman or something. But like, yeah, but I think this is a lot more funnier than that. So that's how it was. I don't want to go too much into all the characters' stories, but I just want to go through mostly my history of TTRPGs and how that went. And through that, I showed up near like the end of the Beyond the Supernatural campaign, and I'm still with that group right now, along with more. Like right now, I'm also in a Skyrim tabletop RPG game right now. That's actually coming to a close. And no, it's not broadcasted anywhere. It's in a private home, whatever. On our own time, whatever. And I created the Nord Hunnulf the Unliving, which I made into an alchemist-like character that can dual wield swords, has like a warhammer as a backup, but also knows some magic. He's basically like an all-around character, and he's pretty overall. But I forgot. Wait, no. There's one thing about him that later on, when we started, I absolutely love about this character now. One day we came across, after completing some fetch quest, basically, we got a bunch of invisibility potions out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. I'm the alchemist. I'll just hold on to that for everyone. Do that. Like we each got one. So I grabbed my separate invisibility potion. I'm like, I'll go. Like I have a few extra coins to spare. I'll go to the potion shop nearby. Okay, I go into the potion shop and there's this Argonian. He's like, yeah. Oh, hello there. He's like, and I'm like, what kind of potions do I want? It's like, do you have any offensive potions? Like, oh yes, I have a bunch of offensive potions. And there's like a bunch of arrays of like grenades and stuff like that do separate effects. There's like fire effects. There's frost effects, lightning effects, stuff like that. But I was like, let's stick with a fire one. It's like, all right. Then they gave me four categories. One that was like, it was a little long. Okay, it's pretty decent for like a few gold. And there's a decent one that was, it was pretty good, and that was worth a little bit more gold. That was still quite a chunk of change. And the next one was the second best one there. Like it's like basically this like higher tier, where it came in a little like bag or whatever. So, and when you open it, it's like glowing near the top. It's like, ooh, you don't want to look at that for too long. And that was still worth a lot. And I said, it's like, there's also one more in the back if you really want. It's like, oh, there's one more in the back. And me being the alchemist playing a character, I'm like, show me. So I'm like, okay, show me. So he's like, oh, I never thought you'd ask. So he goes and he grabs this little like this box that's about the size of like maybe like a briefcase. That's like, it's like a horizontal briefcase that's like maybe the size of like, I don't know, like a, for lack of better words, like maybe like a laundry basket size. That's like the small laundry basket you can like carry with one hand maybe. And with like a little handle so you can like carry it like a briefcase. And it's basically about the size like a Foot Locker. And inside there's a glowing potion. It's really glowing. And that was worth a lot. And it was a little bit more than I had at the moment. So I was like, are you willing to trade some potions and gold? And he was like, what kind of potions? So I offer him like this invisibility potion. And he's like, do you have barding? I'm like, no, I can still try though. So I rolled. And he's like, yeah. So he accepted that. And I still got, like, I paid pretty much all of my gold and the invisibility potion. Like, I think it was, like, level 3, I think. Level 3 invisibility potion. And, like, maybe some, like, extra materials, too. I forget. And I got Meanlai's special surprise. The alchemist's name is Meanlai, by the way. And what it does, as he described, was when you throw it, it has a 25-foot radius, yes, radius, that then explodes into a giant fireball, then corrodes everything in acid, so it burns away any armor, and then shocks everything afterwards. It's a 3-stage potion that does a shit ton of damage to everyone in a large area. You could basically wipe out a small army with this single thing. So I'm like, I absolutely love this. So that has been my character's trademark item. That's always with them all the time, and I'm always careful not to drop the damn thing, or else literally, alright, end of campaign. No. I made sure we did not drop it, we did not lose it, nobody took it, nobody stole it, nobody touches the bomb. We call it the tactical nuclear device. And no one touches it, except me. So that's how that campaign went. And more recently, we went into one campaign, which was Savage World of Savage... what is it? Savage Worlds of Solomon Kane, which is basically 1800s with Solomon Kane. and I created my character, Cola Summers, which is basically I wanted him to be a thief at first, but then I rolled really good. Like I was looking at him like, he'd be pretty good at strength. So now he's pretty much a brute fighter that's also knows how to sneak and get around very well. He's basically a very agile fighting character that's like all around, and he carries like a bunch of weapons on him. His two trademark weapons being the great sword and at first the great axe, and then later on it became the great sword. And I'm probably gonna make that my what is it? Gonna get the edge that makes it so that it's your trademark weapon and you get it like +1, I think, to strike with it. I'm probably gonna make that my trademark weapon and or give my great axe to someone at this rate. To anyone worthy. Or as a gift, I don't know. So we do that. That's my Cole Summers, and he had the thief trait. He had the thief edge when he started, which gave him +2 to climbing, stealth, and lockpicking and disarming traps. Which I was like, that could be useful. I'll take it. So I did that. And the natural, what was it? His hindrance, I'm pretty sure that's what it was, right? Hindrance? Edges and hindrances, right. And his hindrance was, what was it? Vengeful, I think it was? Vengeful Major. And I made a little backstory explaining it, which was, as a kid, he was trained by his grandfather to know like every little thing he knows about like sneaking around, lockpicking, stealing, even though it was unlawful. It was how he's basically survived, yada yada yada. And out of nowhere, a Spanish noble accuses him of a crime which he didn't commit, and he is killed. And yeah, he wants to kill that noble. So yeah, that's how that goes. And I still haven't encountered that noble, so we're all good now. And right now we're in Mexico, so hope we don't see him. So, so that's done. And finally, one of my last ones that I'm doing that I'm still in is I recently started a Call of Cthulhu campaign with my group. Like, I'm like a player character in this. Like, I'm a player character in all of these, by the way. Not a GM yet. And, I was looking at all the occupational classes, and I'm like, I really want to be an assassin, but when I rolled it, no. He was not an assassin when I rolled him. No. He was bad as an assassin if I made him one. He would have been a very terrible assassin with no experience whatsoever. So it was like, what do I do with you? And I looked at all the class, like all the occupations, that like backgrounds or whatever, and I was like, occultist has really high education. I think I rolled 71 on education. Well, I rolled 70, and I rolled an improvement check, and I got like 1 out of it. So good for me. I basically had an education of 71, so that gave me, and it was occupational class bonuses for like skills was what was it? Education times 4. So that gave me like 244 experience, I think. 284 experience. Okay, that's how that went, and I was like, whew, that's a lot of experience to hand out. So I basically started off with like, okay, what skills would he probably have? Knowledge of the occult. Max that out. So now he's like knows pretty much everything about occult in almost any way. He knows as much as you could start off with. so he knows about like arcane and shit like that. And I gave him like a few extra stuff, like he knows how to shoot a gun, like just a handgun at all, and like a few extra skills, like he does like a few like sciences, like it mostly is knowledge based character, which is actually quite unusual for me because I'm usually play a character that's up front and attacks first, then think things through and know everything before you go in. But for Call of Cthulhu, I wanted to play a little bit differently since you're bound to die. Even though in this we're not trying to die, we're trying to like just play a casual game. So overall, how that went, I basically created this character who, oh right, his name. He's Marlowe Pierce, who is from London. He's British. Yes, he is British. I'm so sorry. He speaks British. He likes his tea. It's the middle of the 1920s. World War I just ended. Prohibition just started, and he suddenly is sent to America for the plot. Prohibition started? No, thanks. So it actually came up with a pretty funny story. I might make a separate one for all the funny stories in the game. I might have that special friend with me too. I don't know. I might ask him later. To explain all these stories with him. As well as maybe even like, I don't know. I'll discuss it with him. And we all got there and we came up with a code word. We want more coffee. That coffee wasn't actually coffee. It was spiked. It was spiked coffee. And it was useful for some moments, especially with one of the NPCs being hyperactive and like teenage years, literally. So it was like, okay. With them always like not learning to shut up, and then bad stuff happens, and yeah, that's usually how Call of Cthulhu campaigns go, and that's the most recent campaign I'm in right now that isn't new. Well, actually, we're starting up a new one, actually. I don't have their background ready, so basically, we're starting up a Traveler campaign right now. The new Traveler new Traveler, not the old Iron Man rules. We're doing the new one where it's not as harsh before your character dies. Even though in an original, if you made your character, you didn't die at least once, you were cheating. So yeah, I made my character basically all around, and basically have some leadership skills. He mostly focuses on like piloting small crafts and like battling some stuff, and like battle mostly, and how to explore some stuff. And he started off in the Space Marines, I'm pretty sure, for 2 terms. Then left, I tried to be a rogue after that, failed miserably, and got drafted into law enforcement. Was in law enforcement for 2 years, and then moved to be a world exploration scout. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was a scout that explores. So he did that for 4 terms, and he is currently 50 years old, I think. He's 50. Which is actually pretty good. So he has a lot of experience, and he actually doesn't have that bad stats. I think his only negative stat is dexterity. And the reason for that is because aging rolls, first off. And he got major injury in his eye after a certain mishap in which he gained an enemy when he was in law enforcement. He got the same mishap twice in both law enforcement terms. So that's why he left. And This character's name is Elliot Durant, and I thought that was a pretty good name. For every name after Kyle, I went to like a random name generator and randomly chose one. And Elliot Durant sounded like a really good name for this character. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I think I forget what the other one was. Either way, that character's that, and I haven't started, so I can't really add to that about any extra stuff about him. So yeah, that is all of my TTRPG experience, except for one small thing. Small announcement. Palladium is coming to the channel. Yep. Palladium is coming to the channel. Palladium Fantasy 2nd Edition. Where I, myself, am GMing. When is it going to come out? I don't know. I already have it edited, but I plan on releasing it after the second session. Around that time. So, it could be before then. Who knows? The only people that will know is the players that are actually playing in it. For now, I'm going to keep their names anonymous for now. All of them are my friends, obviously. Why would I bring total strangers to play for my first time being a GM? Because if I brought in total strangers, how fast would they literally shut down my game? And yeah, that's my little ramble on tabletop gaming, my stories of what I've done, and basically how I got into tabletop gaming. It was all because of me literally being jealous during lunch in grade 8, and then me trying my very best to actually fulfill that. And now I'm finally doing what I always wanted to do for the past, since grade 8. So yeah. It's really a big deal for me and mentally to actually, be GMing a game. Because, I don't want to get emotional in this video at all. But I just really just... I'm not crying or anything, I'm just... lack of words. Stop being emotional to me. Yeah, it's just a really big step mentally for myself because it's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to at least try at least once. I'm not the best at it, and I realize that now. Even after the first session, and I'm looking back now, I'm like, my god, I could have done that, way better. And I plan to do so every single time. I plan to improve, and I plan to actually entertain everybody, and so far, I think I am. It's... I'm bleh. I'm, I'm tired right now. Give me a break. I'm pretty sure that everyone's having a good time. Otherwise, they would probably criticize every minute. I have an interesting plot line, everything, there's crazy shit that happened, there's funny moments. Everybody's involved somehow, in some way. And everyone, all the player characters are important in some way. All of them are funny, all of them are unique and have their own personalities. And one of them is actually a new player, so I'm actually proud to teach them how to play the game. And you'll know who that new player is when Palladium is finally introduced to the channel. And you'll be proud with everyone there. Two of them have not played Palladium Fantasy before. One of them has not played tabletop games ever and is new to them, but they want to try it, and I'm teaching them currently. And so far, it sounds like they're having fun with it, and they really want to continue by the sound of it, which is all good in my book. I always want to promote people to try tabletop gaming at least once, see if they like it. If they don't, oh well. If they do, awesome. Continue playing. Alright, that's enough of this long ramble about me and my tabletop experience. That little short announcement for Palladium. And yeah, I'll see y'all guys next time, possibly in Palladium Podcast, but more likely in the next Altair episode. Trust me, they're going to get better. Just bear with me. If you want, I'm going to upload maybe like... No, I'm just going to upload one at a time. They'll get better. Trust me, they'll get better. I learned to edit, and yeah. Okay, enough of everything. Alright. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.